Alright, hello everybody and welcome to a brand new exclusive here to YouTube video on the G1 Gamedays channel. It is I, your host, Red Robe, bringing you this first in what is hopefully a series of videos. What is, as you can see, the G1 Gamedays host favorite thing, just whatever thing that is brought up in this video, where essentially it is such and such thing, what is your favorite of said thing, but not just that thing, but also why is it your favorite thing from, you know, whatever thing. So that's the general deal with these videos are going to be. And to start off, we got something hopefully y'all will like. We're starting off here with the G1 Gamedays host favorite NES game. So now, what this is going to be, I went and asked all of our hosts, hey, what is your favorite ever Nintendo game? Original NES game. I'll stop yammering on and on and on, and we'll get right into it. We'll go ahead and we'll start with me. What is my favorite, most favorite ever NES game? Well, my favorite NES game is a game that is made by Konami. Came out when I was young. It only has like 8 levels, and it's actually a sequel, and it came out in 1992. And before I string you on anymore, it is this game right here. It is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3, the Manhattan Project. That's right. This game is the sequel to Turtles 2, the arcade game, and it came out on pretty much only the NES back in February of 1992. Side-scrolling beat-em-up like most Turtles games are. But now, you know what the game is. Now, why exactly is it my most favorite ever NES game? Well, it actually goes back to when I was younger, and, well, pizza. Because what would happen is with either my, like, the Boy Scout troop I was in for a little bit, or maybe I just had to book it for him to get a free pizza, we would go to Pizza Hut. And there at this Pizza Hut, there was a Turtles 2, or Turtles arcade game. And whenever we went, I pumped quarters into that machine like it was going out of style. I loved that game. And ultimately, eventually, I got the NES Turtles arcade game and played the crap out of it. And it wasn't long till I saw, like in like magazines at like the store, that there was a Turtles 3 NES game going to come out. And I wanted it. I had to have it. But like most things when you're younger, you have to wait till Christmas. So considering this game came out in February of 1992, that's a long wait. But wait, I did. And I eventually got it, and I played it. Played the heck out of it, beat it, don't know how many times. But yeah, I liked the game so much that, like, when I did go to Boy Scouts, we would, you know, have downtime after Boy Scouts. I would bring the NES game to play with, you know, other people, because, you know, I was the only child, didn't have nobody to play with me. But yeah, essentially, that's why I really like, and it's my favorite ever NES game, the Turtles 3, the Manhattan Project. Because whenever I think of the NES, I think of that, because I love Turtles, I love this game and everything, all the circumstances around it, that type of stuff. So yeah, there you go. There's that. but we've got plenty of other hosts to get to. So let's not waste any more time, and let's go ahead and go on to the next one, shall we? All right, up next, not wasting any time, getting this going right along. It is one of the best known games in the series, probably. In a long-running series. It's considered one of the greatest games of all time. Has some of the greatest music of all time. But yes, there you see it for yourself. Jimbos Zaks, most favorite ever NES game, is a little game by Capcom called Mega Man 2. Now, this wonderful little game came out all the way in 1988, the day before Christmas, December 24th. It's a Mega Man game. No bones about it. Great music. Jump and shoot, the whole 9 yards. It's considered one of the best-selling Mega Man games in the series. I've already said it's on, like, plenty of best of games ever lists. So yeah. Jimbos Zaks, one of his most favorite ever NES games. But now, why is it one of Jimbos Zaks' favorite games? Well, he says, and I'm quoting him here from his answer. Now, why is it your favorite NES game ever? He says, it was a challenge for me and something new at the time. So, obviously, it's a Mega Man game. He's darn right on the whole challenge aspect, and it was something new. But he didn't just get the game. He didn't see it and get it. No. Apparently, before he got this game, he had played it at a friend's house. So, he got it. It was a good challenge. He liked it. And his love grew from there. So there you have it. Jimbos Zaks 13. Favorite game, Mega Man 2. So let's continue on here. Up next, we have Johnny L. Chase. So Johnny has a good affinity for a bunch of retro games, Nintendo games in particular, when it comes to Mario and many others. So surely his game is going to be something good, right? Well, believe it or not, Johnny's game also is a Capcom game. It's based originally off a arcade game from '87. And his game, even, if you can believe this or not, has its own novelization. It's got its own little novel based on this game. Now, what is Johnny Chase's favorite ever NES game, you might ask? Well, Bionic Commando. Now, you're looking at this and thinking, wait, what's going on? This is like Metal Gear Solid stuff. No. In this game, you're a soldier. You got a bionic, like grappling hook arm, and you're going around. You're shooting people, going around this big map and stuff. It is definitely a great game. It is one of the more unique platformers on the NES of the era. So now, the question is, why is it one of Johnny's favorite ever NES games? Well, I quote, Bionic Commando, because it was a game we traded between the family a lot and have fond memories of playing. And you know what? That's a good reason. I remember my reasoning why I liked mine, and having a game that you traded with family, played together, had fun together. I could definitely see why it could be one of your favorite classic NES games out there. So now, that's Johnny's favorite. Let's go ahead and move on. As we got Fat Man, or Zak, whatever you want to call him. Now, being one of the youngest G1 Game Day hosts, he should have an interesting pick for his most favorite ever NES game. And you know what? It is. It is thoroughly interesting because he doesn't have one. Now, there is a good reason for that. Like I said, he's one of the youngest of the hosts. And to put it simply, he never really had a Nintendo. A regular Nintendo. Even trying to go back and play Nintendo games, he can't really get into them because, as he said, those games are just too freaking hard. To him, they were just too infuriating. He just couldn't get into them. And he would die several times, not making any progress, that type of thing. So, not big into the NES. So, nothing from Fat Man this time. Maybe next time. So, we'll move on. All right, here we go. Short Bus Eric. Now, Short Bus Eric here, he's been around the block once or twice, right? So he should have himself a good NES game picked out, one of his favorites ever. And he does. It also, like, well, two others now, it is a game by Capcom as well. It is a game that came out in 1988. It has seen several... it has seen some remakes, well, it's like in the PS3 360. I wanted to say current, but that's not current anymore. And it's also seen remasters, re-releases. So, Short Bus Eric's favorite NES game ever is Bionic Commando. Yes, that's right. Eric's game, just like Johnny, he also loves himself some Bionic Commando. And I wasn't lying about those remakes and re-releases either, and I'm sure Eric might have one or two, because, I mean, the game was remade as a downloadable title for PS3, Xbox 360, and the PC is called Bionic Commando Rearmed. And the original game has been in, like, various compilations of Capcom games and the like. But yeah, you know all that type of stuff, right? Now the question is, why is it Eric's most favorite Nintendo game ever? Well, I quote, "My most favorite Nintendo game was Bionic Commando. I remember the first time I saw the game at a friend's house. I fell in love with it instantly. I had to mow a few lawns to buy it, but when I did, I didn't stop playing it. I must have beaten it 100 times." So there you go. Pretty much Short Bus Eric going over to the friend's house, and it was gamer love at first sight, so to speak. So Short Bus Eric, his most favorite NES game ever, Bionic Commando. So now, moving on, our next host, Claire Bear. Everybody loves some Claire. She's a wonderful woman and probably has a wonderful pick as well. And well, her pick is nothing. Like Fat Man, though different, she never really had an NES. Never really went and played any NES games currently either. Her reasoning is because, well, growing up, her family never really had the money for that type of stuff. So it wasn't until much later in life that she really found a fondness for video games. So the NES, the original Nintendo, passed her by. So no favoritist era ever NES game from Claire, unfortunately. So now, we'll move on to Garfield, the G1 wonder from Down Under. Now it looks like we got another Konami game on the list, coming out all the way in September September of 86. Now, what is his game, you may ask? It is this little game from this little series called Castlevania. Now, obviously, this is the NES version, but obviously, this game wasn't solely on the NES. I mean, this game came out in arcades on like the Commodore 64, MS-DOS. I mean, the Game Boy. I mean, I'm sure you could play it right now, today, on your mobile phone. So, this game got around, and it is a good action platforming game. It's got a total of about, what is it, like, strung together, like 18 different stages. It's on many most influential or best ever games lists. That type of stuff. But now, that's all well and good. But now, why? Is it Garfield's favorite NES game ever? Well, it is because, thusly, and I quote, "My favorite NES game would be Castlevania. Everything about that game oozes atmosphere and immersion. The first time I ever played it was at a friend's house, and I was utterly blown away. To top it off, it's quite a challenge to complete it, so even beating the game feels like an amazing achievement." And I know I personally would have to agree, because a lot of the jumping sections, or even Dracula himself, if you can get there, that's a heck of a thing to get through. So there you have it. Garfield's favorite game ever, on the NES, is the first in a long series of games, Castlevania. So let's go ahead, move it on over to our next host. We've got Reset Patrick. Or Debaser, whatever you want to call him. Now, his little NES game, it came out in 1986. It probably set a gold standard, so to speak, for NES games at the time. So yeah, Debaser's favorite ever NES game, The Legend of Zelda. Yeah, I wasn't lying about the whole gold standard thing. So yeah, this little game coming out all the way in 1986. Action adventure, only one player. Also, the whole gold shiny cartridge probably helped its thing as well, setting a standard that is still hopefully adhered to today when it comes to Legend of Zelda games, with the top-down stuff. All of the, as you see them here, unique and useful items that you can gather to help you explore an adventure through the world as a whole. And of course, this game has been made, or I don't want to say remade, because it hasn't technically been remade. It's been re-released, and you can play it in many, many different ways, I guess you could say. You could play it on, like, Virtual Console. I mean, you could play it right now on the Switch, is online thing. That whole thing. It was even in Super Smash Bros. Brawl, because, you know, everybody loves Super Smash Bros. Brawl. It's in the Vault section. That type of thing. So, yeah. You got all that going for this game, but the question is, once again, why is it Reset Patrick's favorite ever NES game? Well, he said, and I quote, "The Legend of Zelda, because I love and appreciate its mix of simplicity with fighting the monsters and be the hero, the puzzle solving, the selection of weapons, and all the stuff to discover. It's very close to the perfect classic video game, in my opinion." And I mean, he's not far off from wrong, I don't think, considering it is the first in many, many, many great Legend of Zelda games out there. But now we've got one more host that we're going to get to here for this video. So let's go ahead and get on with it. Mr. T.L. Wolf. Now, Wolf's game, it's a Nintendo game, kind of like the Basers. It came out 1987 or 1990, depending on which version you play. It's also was based off a Nintendo arcade game that originally came out some time ago. And it is also often listed as just one of the, on many lists as well, different lists, as one of the greatest games ever. Now, what game would that be? This little game right there, Punch-Out! Or Mike Tyson's Punch-Out! Depending on which version you got, like I mentioned. Because Mike Tyson's Punch-Out came out on 87, it has Mike Tyson in it, whereas in about 1990, they re-released the game as just Punch-Out, didn't have Mike Tyson in it, that type of thing. As y'all know, it stars that little underdog dude, Little Mac, and you go fight your way up the ranks, getting title after title in this little sports fighting puzzly type game. But now, why is it Mr. T.L. Wolf's game? Why is it his favorite ever NES game? Well, you know what? I'm not going to tell you. I'm tired of talking for the host here. So how about I have Mr. T.L. Wolf say it himself.
Hello. I've been asked by Red Robe what my favorite NES game is. I never grew up with the NES. My first console was the Super Nintendo, and it was one of those things where, like, friends of a friend had an NES, or my stepbrother had an NES. So I never really played it that much as a kid. I have one now as an adult. But probably my favorite game for the system is probably Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, which I still have a copy of. Just something about the kind of puzzly element, even though on its surface it looks like a sports game. This is one of my favorites to play. It's one of my favorites to watch. Like, high-level speed run Punch-Out is this ridiculous beast. If you've never watched Punch-Out speed runs, and it's my favorite to the point where I actually have two. I have the version with Mike Tyson and without Mike Tyson. And I don't have a good way to show you, but I have the portraits of all the fighters over on the wall over there. I don't have a great way to show you. Maybe I can take a picture for Robe to put up during the video. But yeah, that's probably my favorite. There's a lot of really good games, but like the one that I would always come back to, the one that I've bought digitally on on other consoles, is Punch-Out.
So there you have it from Mr. T.L. Wolf. Mike Tyson or regular Punch-Out. So there you have it, a bunch of our G1 Game Days hosts' favorite NES games. So, what'd you think of the video? Do you have your own favorite out of all of them ever NES games? Tell us what you think about the video or your own NES games down in the comments below. So, one last time, this is a Red Robe. Thank you for sitting through the video. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.